Hey everyone, Tina Miller here, and my co host Sarah Hirsch and I thank you for checking out our first episode of Peaches and Powerbombs, a wrestling podcast with a female perspective. We had a special guest join us for this episode, Tom Clark of Tom Clark's Main Event, and we had a great time talking wrestling with him, and we hope you enjoy it too.
Our guest today, he's like Dean Malenko of wrestling podcasts and writing, the man of 1,000 podcasts and wrestling articles. You have seen him on Bleacher Report, the Camel Clutch blog, Sports Kita, among countless others. And Tina and I felt like that this was only right that he joined us on the show because he has had a part in getting us to where we are today. And that is none other than Tom Clark.
What's up, man? How do I follow that
Thank you.
introduction? That's crazy big thing to follow. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you, ladies, for having me on. This should be fun.
Yes.
So, and congrats on the new podcast, by the
Thank
way.
you.
Thank you. We're excited.
Very cool. You're welcome.
We're like a female tag team. I think that's what's going to make us stand out for sure. Tina and I actually have a lot in common. We love pro wrestling. We're both from Georgia, hence the Peaches and Power Bombs. We write. We've been to shows. We have met some wrestlers. I think we could come up with plenty of content to provide the listeners just from experiences, our take on stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know you are too, Tina.
Oh yeah, really looking forward to it. There is one thing that we do disagree on, and that's Brock Lesnar.
Jesus.
But we might get into that a little later. Or
Yeah.
I love Brock Lesnar. I think he's awesome.
I think you struck a nerve with that comment, actually.
I think I did too. It's fun.
Oh, jeez. We'll get on with it, not waste a whole lot of time, being we have a special guest and all. Basically, the first thing we'll go ahead and talk about is what happened on Raw last night, or lack thereof, depending on how you see it. So, Tina, any particular thoughts on Raw last night?
Well, let's talk about Bobby Lashley a little bit because I think this is just awesome that Bobby is finally getting the main event push that he deserves. He's been trying to get here for, what was it, 16, 17 years, something like that. Is that right? Yeah. And, doing these silly little skits like with people pretending to be his sister and all this other kind of crazy things. And he finally gets to be the main event of WrestleMania, going in as WWE champion. And I just think it's fantastic. I'm so excited to see this match between him and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. So, what do you guys think about Bobby Lashley?
I love Lashley. I agree with everything you said. I think it's a long time coming. I think it's some odd synergy that we're seeing him and MVP shoulder to shoulder, like we saw them in Impact, which is a nice callback. And it's funny because that company doesn't want to do anything unless they came up with it first, supposedly, right? But they paired these guys together, and it reminds me a lot of what happened in Impact. You mentioned Brock. I'm going to tell you right up front. I still think we're heading to Lashley versus Lesnar. And I've been predicting it's going to happen at Mania. The window to get there is narrowly closing. So it may not happen there, but the Raw after Mania, assuming Lashley still has that belt, I would not be surprised if Brock comes out and challenges him at the next pay-per-view. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, well, they announced on Raw last night it is going to be, in fact, Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, which I am 100% down for. Yeah, I think we're all on the same page as far as Lashley goes, because I said on our Facebook page last night, I can finally get behind Lashley. He was somebody that I just never really got behind because I just he didn't he didn't really sell me, so to speak. And now with him being in the Hurt Business, and he's the champ now, every it seems like everything just comes together when it comes to him, and I love it for him because he has put in the work. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
And last night on Raw, he had a match with Sheamus for the main event at the main event, and he just looked dominant. It was great. He did get the win, and yeah, he looked really good during that match, and his matches with the Miz beforehand too. So
When you have a guy that's as jacked up as he is and a guy that has that much talent, to see him not in the main event is a very odd thing. To see him not headlining and doing something that's second, third tier, it's always like, wow, this feels and looks weird. But the second that person gets up to that main event level, you're like, man, why didn't this happen a long time ago? I think that's kind of what everybody's thinking about Lashley right now.
especially when you hear about Vince having a certain look.
Mhm.
I think too, with his new entrance in music and all, it just feels right to me. Like I could almost legit have goosebumps when I saw his intro last night. I was like, yes, started off with Bobby Lashley because Hurt Business is like the hottest thing going on for a while now.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys knew, but Cedric and Shelton actually dropped the titles last night to the New Day. AJ Styles and Omos will be challenging them for the Raw Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania, which is interesting, but I was kind of sad that they took it off the Hurt Business because that picture with all three of them standing around MVP with all the gold from Raw just looked dominant. And I was
Oh, that
kind of
was
sad that
amazing.
they didn't get to have the titles for.
I mean, I think they've proven that they're not willing to build a dynasty anymore. They just don't care about it. I mean, they like you said, all three titles in one stable, and they look great. But because AJ once again didn't have anything to do at WrestleMania, because hey, smart booking, um, they said, well, we got to get the titles off them, give them to New Day. That way, AJ's got something to do. And I'm always thinking AJ's in the top upper echelon at any given time on any given day of the week. He's the best in the world. Okay, depending
Exactly.
on where you stand on that. But yet we can never find anything for him to do at WrestleMania. Blows my mind. But the Hurt Business should be a dynasty right now with all the titles. I mean, they should have rolled with that, but
Right.
it's that company, man. That's what they do. So
And you can put anybody with AJ and it'd be great.
I still think that the Hurt Business can invoke their rematch clause if they remember, if booking remembers that, and it could be a three-way. But that's been done so many times. But I mean, I would think that would be the case, but I don't know.
I can kind of understand where they're going because they're trying to introduce Omos into being a competitor, and him teaming with AJ is an easy way to do that. I just I just don't understand why they needed the titles in order to do this. They could have just wrestled the New Day without those titles, but
Logic. The one thing we were talking about before we started was one of the things on Raw is the multiple things that they have going on with the ladies, particularly the tag team titles. They got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose together. They're doing a team together. I think that's a good idea for the both of them. And then we have the whole Lana has a different best friend every week. I I don't know if I'm sold on her and Naomi yet, but I still think they're trying to establish Lana as a I won't say threat, but the girl tries, and I commend her for that. And but the one thing, they had Shayna Baszler and Asuka face off last night. I would love to see them on a bigger stage because I really think they could do some awesome stuff together.
I think the at least they're getting them on TV, and at least they're getting them something to do. I've never bought Dana Brooke. It's no disrespect to her. I don't think she's ever had the right gimmick. I don't think she's ever had the right hook. When I look at her, I don't. I mean, she comes out and she flexes, and I'm like, what else you got? That's it. She does this and that. Okay, I flex. Cool. But where do we go from here? And there just doesn't seem to be and all the women have something. Every woman in that company has a thing. The minute they get on that ramp, they got to twirl, or they got to do this, or they got to do this, and every single woman they have has to have a thing. It's almost like they're coached. Okay, here's your thing. You need to go out there and put your hand this way, or throw your hair back, and that's your thing. Like the guys don't really have a thing. They just get to come out, but like it's almost like, well, you're a woman and you have to have a signature. And I'm like, I don't know. After a while, it starts to feel cookie cutter.
Mhm.
Um, I can't diss them for at least putting the ladies on TV and giving it a go. But when I see them out there, and then I think about Ruby Riott, who doesn't need anything. She has style. She's different. She's got her own look. No one looks like Ruby Riott at all, unless you're talking about. God, I can never remember her name. Rhea Ripley. There it is. Uh, Talk about now. There's a tag team. I'm just saying. But yeah, for the rest of them, I see a without sounding all like that, I see a pretty blonde, and I know that sounds like it sounds, but they tend to sign them, and that's fine. But give me something other than because there's plenty of pretty guys on the roster too. But okay, what else you got? What are you gonna do now? And that's not their fault. They're handed what they're
Mhm.
going to do, and they're going to do what they're going to do, and that's fine. But you got to make me care, and if I don't care, I'm going to tune out. And I tune out a lot with that division now. And yeah, there was a time when I loved it. The evolution thing, Sasha, Bailey, Charlotte, man, it was on fire. And now it's been doused with a huge bucket of ice water. I don't know what happened, to be
That's
honest.
right.
I don't even know.
I said on a podcast a while back that I think Dana Brooke, she was a gymnast, I guess, back in the day, and I see how she incorporates her moves in the ring. But I just think she definitely needs like a gimmick change or change in her hair or something because you know I feel like it's like what Tom said, cookie cutter, a typical blonde. And then there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like for her to stand out, I feel like she should do something like that. And like Mandy Rose, she cut her hair, and I think it looks great on her. But yeah, Dana, I feel like just needs some tweaking in terms of her overall look, and then from there, maybe something would work for her. Maybe she's women's Bobby Lashley. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought Dana was really interesting in NXT for the really short time that she was there. She had my attention. I don't remember who she wrestled. Was it Asuka? I don't remember exactly who it was, but she was really interesting, and I thought she was a good heel there. And then when they moved her up to the main roster, that's when things really went south for her. And you just did not see her personality like you did down in NXT, and she was just like what Tom said, was just this cookie
Hmm.
cutter, oh yeah, I forgot she was even on the roster, because she doesn't really wrestle all that often either.
Can you explain to me why we have to have Charlotte versus Asuka at WrestleMania?
So I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
They Becky's not there, and I think as long as Becky's not there, she is leaving a void, and the void's got to be filled. And fans get mad at the wrong people. For fans to get mad at Brock Lesnar, they're wrong. For fans to get mad at Charlotte Flair, they're wrong. Charlotte is not writing her own business. Because if anybody tried to write their own business with Vince McMahon, he'd say, "You need to sit down. This is my company." And I think she falls in that category. They're they are pushed to where they're pushed to because he feels a certain way about them. He sees something. They've proven themselves. People get irate over the Charlotte Flair thing. I'm like, you're you're just exhausting yourself for no good reason. It's so mind boggling to me that people get so upset about this when she's just doing her job. And people can say, "Well, Tom, it's nepotism. It's her dad is who he is." I'm like, yeah, okay, but she still had to come up. She's the one wrestling the matches. She's the one taking the bumps. It's not him doing it for her. It's her doing all the work. So the minute that Oscar won this title last year, when Becky left, I said, great. Now let's see what they do with her, because 9 times out of 10 they can't book Oscar for anything, and they prove that all the time. The thing that she does when she's screaming at the camera and she's acting like she's half gone and she's not all there. I'm like, okay, fun, but and I get it. That's her. That's what she's doing, and that's what works for her. But I would rather see her. I don't want to say dead serious, but I'd rather see her at some point where it's like just suddenly break character and just give you this look like, I'm just acting, right? This is all psychology. This is all to get in your head. I don't think we'll ever see that from her because it's not what they want from her. But as far as the Charlotte thing goes, they will deliver a really good match because that's what Charlotte does and that's what Asuka does. And together they work really well together. The right and wrong of it, I don't know. It's all subjective. What one fan hates, the next fan loves. Do I think that the same person should be always pushed for the title? I mean, you got to remember, I wrote about John Cena for 10 years, and every week it was John Cena, every week, and I like John a lot. So I dealt with the John Cena question for a long time, and then suddenly it occurred to me, why am I getting frustrated with John? John's the company guy. He's the one putting his body on the line. Maybe I should be frustrated with Vince. So when I learned to redirect my frustrations, I realized, John's just the company guy. He's the guy of the moment. Charlotte is the proven talent. And a lot of people have heartburn over that, but that company has proven they don't really care what we think. I think they've proven that multiple times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to do what they're going to do. I don't have to like it, but that's what they're going to do.
Do you mind if I jump in
There's
here?
Oh,
About
absolutely.
Charlotte
Go
a
ahead.
little bit and what you were talking about of people getting upset. The funny thing is, though, is when this company actually does give the fans what they need, a month, maybe a few weeks, maybe several months, they start to wane on that and they turn on their
Hmm.
own choice. And then they're like, okay, so why should we even listen to the fans? Because this is just the flavor of the week and they're going to change their minds just like that. So I sometimes don't blame them for not always going with what the fans want. Charlotte, I really like her. I think she's fantastic. And I think she deserves a place at WrestleMania. It would kind of be a disservice not to have Charlotte at WrestleMania. You don't
Hmm.
leave her off. You don't. Does she need to, chase the title all the time? No. But you don't leave Charlotte Flair off. And with this COVID thing going on, and you never know who's going to be on the card or whatever. You have a sure bet with Charlotte and Asuka. And Asuka looked really great last night too. She looked like the old Asuka from NXT. So she was very aggressive with Shayna Baszler. So it was really good.
Yeah, y'all have very valid points, and I can agree with them. Me, I want to see somebody else in the title picture, but given the given the circumstances and stuff like that, yeah, those are very valid points. Even though I felt like I seen it coming a mile away. I'm a huge fan of Shayna Baszler, so it's like that's what I want for her, and that's probably where I'm coming from with that. But yeah, I mean, Charlotte's put in the work. She's a great wrestler. Not taking anything from her on that, for sure.
And that's okay. You can have your own opinion. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you can have your own opinion.
And I think people want, so say like Kevin Owens. People want so much for a particular person. So if it's something that don't work in their favor per se, they get all up in arms about it. It's okay. It, I know it can be frustrating, but It's just one of those things. You want. I think that's where a lot of them come from. Is they want the best for that person, but sometimes it don't work out that way.
And Tina, you're right about what you said. If I can chime in on that real quick, you're right about what you said about the fans tell the company what they want, but then you know, and I'll counter with this: the company will give them what they want, and then maybe not support it like they should, maybe not spotlight it like they should, and then when it fails, the company says, see, we shouldn't have gave you this. This is not what you wanted. See, this is what you really want. You want Roman Reigns as a babyface because we said you do. And I'm like, nah, it's not what I want. I wanted Daniel Bryan. Nah, you don't. You don't. We gave him to him. Look, he got hurt. Tommy got hurt. You don't want Daniel Bryan because he got hurt. You want Roman. I'm like, nah, I don't. I like Roman, but I want Daniel. So it's almost like they begrudgingly give you something to throw you a bone, and then when it doesn't work, they just blame the fans. And I'm like, nah, it's. I'm a little too old and a little too wise to fall for that. So I'm not going to take the blame for it. You know what I mean? So
That's a valid point.
again, it all comes down to one guy's decision, and neither one of us are that
Nope.
guy, which sucks, but it is what it is. So,
That's right. That's right.
You made the perfect segue for SmackDown, Tom. We'll go over there right quick, cause you know me. Tom and I found each other on Twitter through an article he wrote about the Shield comparison with a boy band, and he knows I love Roman Reigns. You know I am absolutely loving where he's at right now. I love it. Like I'll shout it to the sky every day. I love this. Thank you.
that tweet got retweeted again the other day for the 1200, 1200
Wow.
some whatever times, and John Layfield took that website down years ago. But yeah, he took it down years ago. So no one you click it and it's a dead link, but it's still getting retweeted. And I think the title was "The Shield as WWE's boy
That's
band."
funny.
Um, I got so many female followers on Twitter from writing about the Shield, and so I even made a category, and I think like a group, and I called it the Shield Ladies. I think, and I put everybody into that group just so I could identify them and have conversations with them. So I have found through the years that female wrestling fans are the easiest to talk to, the easiest to have conversations with, because for the most part, I'm not told, well, you're wrong. That's not right. That's not how it is, Tom. Like guys do
Yeah.
with each other. You know what I mean? So the ladies are easier to talk to, more level. It's the truth. More level-headed, willing to listen to someone else's opinion. You don't get that with a bunch of dudes in the room. It just doesn't happen too often. Sometimes, depending on who it is, but yeah, that thing's still getting retweeted.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
I know you're happy with what the work that Roman's doing. So, I mean,
Oh no.
Roman has never looked better. This
Oh
he looks better now than
yes.
he did with the Shield. I
Yes.
think.
Um, I can't believe they pulled the trigger on it. Honestly, I remember when all that happened, and I'm like, no, they're not. They're playing with my feelings. No, no. And then how he had transcended. It's just wow. It is gold every week, and I love that they have Jay Uso in the mix. And like I said, I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. And yeah, I'm wondering who. I'm really excited for him versus Edge at WrestleMania, and that was something that Tina was talking about earlier. So share your thoughts, ma'am.
On Roman and Edge, yeah, that's going to be a really good match. I think this whole weird, it hasn't really taken off completely yet because we still have Speed Bump this coming Sunday. Thank you, Raj Giri, for that. Fast lane. It feels more like a speed bump than it's just something that's in the way until we get to WrestleMania. And this whole Daniel Bryan thing, it's just, it just feels like it's a distraction from what we really want to see, which is Roman and Edge. And talking about, fans not being on the Roman train until recently, I was indifferent about Roman. I didn't really care one way or the the other. I didn't hate him. I didn't think he deserved the the hate, pure fire that he was getting. Yeah, probably about a maybe about a year or so ago, I decided that I'm going to form my own opinions and not let anybody else decide for me who I'm supposed to like, and I don't care who the people on the internet like. I'm going to like who I like. So I secretly liked, secretly, was in favor of Roman. He wasn't like my person or anything, but I didn't hate him. And I secretly loved Brock Lesnar, so I came out of the Brock Lesnar closet. But yeah, I think Roman is fantastic, and the Brock Lesnar closet. Yeah, I'm really excited for him to have this match with Edge. I think both of them are going to deliver, and it writes itself. You could do this spear versus spear
Oh
angle,
yeah,
or
exactly what I was about to say.
I'm a
Spear versus
veteran,
spear.
so this isn't your table, this is mine because I've been here longer. I'm a Hall of Famer, that kind of stuff. It writes itself, so I'm really excited about it.
What are your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be good. I question what they're going to do with it. I've been saying since the day he won the belt, it's too soon to take it off of him. He should keep it for a good long time because if you're not going to build a faction, if you're not going to build a dynasty, as I said before, then at least
Yeah,
build
dominance.
up a guy and keep the belt on him and let him keep rolling the way he is. If anybody should take it off of him, I mean, I guess Edge could be that guy, but you put a legend up against Roman Reigns and tell me how that plays out. Because 9 times out of 10, Roman takes the legend down, and I think Edge is going to join the list of guys that he has beaten. And whether those fans that praise Roman now but hated him before, whether they know it or not, the fact of the matter is WWE's
Mm-hmm.
still getting its way. Nothing changed. They just changed what side of the fence this guy's on. The fact is he's going to continue to beat legends. He's going to probably beat Edge. He's going to probably beat any legend. He punked out Daniel Bryan, and nobody went up in arms about it. Nobody rioted in the streets. But back in the day, they sure did because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted Daniel, not Roman. So they're kind of still giving you what they gave you before, except now they're telling you, well, now you like it. See, now you're on board. So they're still getting their way. I wouldn't have had a problem the first time because this fits Reigns. The crap he did before was crap because I didn't feel it, and I knew it wasn't him. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm sure he's a good guy at heart, but he's so good at playing the heavy, and I think he's proven that with this, and it fits him to a T.
Roman's a Gemini, and I say this because my brother is too, and their birthdays are a
Yeah.
day apart, but their confidence, whether Roman's in character or not, their confidence is borderline conceit almost, and I think with the way Roman presents himself now, it's more of a natural thing. Not saying he's a jerk in real life because he's not, but just in terms of confidence and how he really carries himself now as this, um, I'm the man, I'm the head of the table, blah blah blah. You know, it just fits him. And to me, I think he comes off better as a heel too because he just has that look.
All right, so do y'all want to move on a little bit and talk about Sasha Banks and Bianca facing each other at WrestleMania and teaming together at Fastlane this Sunday, which makes no sense.
If you're going to have two people work each other, you have them tag team first in Vince McMahon's world. Yeah, that's what you do. He takes two guys or two girls who are going to work each other, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a great idea, pal," and then he makes them a tag team, and it's obvious they're not going to get along. It's obvious what the end game is going to be, and to him, it's a tried and true method. To the rest of us, we're going, "Oh man, I've seen this so many times." Um, It's going to be a really good match at Mania. I think Bianca Belair is going to really show up and show out. Sasha's going to do what Sasha does, and she always delivers. I mean, we'll see how this goes at Fastlane, but Fastlane's kind of a throwaway pay per view unless they. I mean, they could always switch it up. I mean, Mania's going to be a 2 day event, so they could pull a swerve at Fastlane on any of the matches on that card and go into Mania with question marks. They've done it before with other pay per views back to back. We'll see if they were to dare to do that with Mania, but I think it'll be a good match between these two ladies for sure.
I think it would be even better if it was just them two coming out every week and trash talking each other. This whole Reginald stuff just it needs to go away. Reginald does not need to be anywhere near this storyline at all. They don't need it. Both of them are so talented. They could carry this by themselves. They don't need all the shenanigans to go
They
along with
had
it.
brought him
And
over with Shayna and Nia there, wasn't it last week? Yeah, I don't get his place within these storylines at all.
Uh, it's almost like he's just the punching dummy. That's what he is. He's the punching bag for the ladies. And so here's my take: either book men versus women or knock it off. That's kind of how I feel. I'm sick of this. You're gonna let women throw men around. Let the men throw women around. And I don't care for women versus men. I don't want to see it. I don't want my kid to see a woman get punched in the mouth by a guy. It call me weird, but and I know, oh Tom, we're pulling our punch. I get it. I get it. I know, but like that's not an image I want him to see. I've never wanted to see it. I don't want him to see it now. And he knows wrestling's fixed. Spoiler alert. But he gets it. So I'm not a fan of it. But I'm tired of this thing where they throw men around and it's okay. It's not okay because there's never payback. There's never that. Well, I can't touch her because you. Well, then why is she allowed to touch you? I mean, if it's going to work one way, let it work the other. And I'm not in favor of
Yeah.
it at all. So here's an idea: stop letting the women throw the guys around. I'm just saying it. This guy we're talking about, Reginald, right? It's not helping him at all, in my opinion. I mean, he may disagree. He's getting paid. He's on TV. What do I know? I mean, he's living the dream, right? I get it, but like long term, if you want this guy to be a worker, I don't know if that's play or not, but if you want him to be an in ring talent, you're not helping his cause much by letting the women just you know, pie face him all the time. I mean, it's not really helping him much at all. Not that the women aren't tough, don't get me wrong, but you're not making the case for when he does get in the ring, if that's going to happen against another guy, because the first thing that guy could say is, well, this shouldn't be hard. The women have been tossing you around, like taking your lunch money from you. And why didn't you fight back? I mean, it's to me, they paint themselves in a. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm off base. That's just how I see it. It kind of feels like they're putting themselves in a corner they can't get out of with this
No,
stuff.
I agree. Uh, it's just like they just been shifting him around, and I kind of got tired of it because, like, I guess Nia Jax has a crush on him or whatever, and poor Shayna, like, the looks on her face, like when Nia talks about him is so funny. I'm like, girl, I know. We caught up on NXT. I tell you what, you know, I agree. NXT's got the best women's division for sure. That's one thing I could say. They can the women continue to just impress me, and I'm always looking forward to their stuff every time. So yeah, now they got women's tag team championships and all that good stuff. So Tina, we'll have you talk about it.
okay, so this past Wednesday on NXT, we had William Regal come out and announce that NXT now has their own women's tag team titles because he was, I guess, tired of the WWE women's championships not being defended correctly on his show, so he decided to create his own titles and awarded those titles to the Dusty Cup winners, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. And then they had a match with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart later on that night, and they lost. And so we have new women's NXT Women's Tag Champion. I thought the way that they did this was a little weird, and I kind of thought it brought them Dakota and Raquel down a little bit because they did just win the Dusty Cup, and then they go and lose. I thought it would have been better if they had Ember Moon and Shotzi, and then Dakota Kai and Raquel actually have a match for the titles instead of doing it the way they did. I thought it would have been a little bit, I don't know, better for them, especially since they want to put Raquel against Io Shirai, I believe, is the vibe I got from watching NXT, that they want to pair those two up for the next takeover.
I find it weird that we have the babyface general manager hand two heels belts that they didn't earn.
Yeah.
I find that odd. It's weird. They didn't baby out last week. They didn't really do anything to get over with the crowd. They didn't help the referee up. They didn't really do anything to get empathy or sympathy on their side. They just, okay, here comes the guy from Raw, and he's messing with Adam Pearce is there, and it's all okay. Here's another ref. Yeah, but they're still heel. They still haven't done anything to redeem themselves in the eyes of the fans. So why are you just going to hand them two belts that you just created? It all started off on a weird footing for me. The fact that two baby faces got him, if you were determined to do that, why not just find a way to either baby them out or just make a match between the two teams and say, hey, whoever wins this gets the brand new tag belts.
The way they should have done it as, hey, we got this, here y'all face each other, that would have been much better. And that's not to say the match was terrible, because they had an excellent match. They had an excellent match at TakeOver in the Dusty Cup final. So I just hate that was kind of like a poor decision. And NXT is usually pretty good at their booking, and so that was kind of a head scratcher when that happened.
It's not been the same company since they got to USA. It's not been the same brand. It's not been the same brand since they got to USA. It has steadily changed. Some people would say steadily declined. I don't know if I would agree with that, but it's not the same brand. They're trying to serve a lot of masters with it being on USA, and I don't think it's helped NXT. And if at any given time it feels like different hands are on it than what was on it initially years ago, and that's very telling. And we all knew, you guys knew this too, that when they decided to move against opposite of Dynamite, that wait a minute, this could change, and it did. We all knew it was a possibility. I'm not saying it's a train wreck. I don't think it's there yet, but I think it could be there. I think at any given time NXT feels like it's Monday Night Raw light, and that's I hate to be that way. It's just how I feel. I feel like it's, I mean, it's better than Raw, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Raw lowers the bar a lot. I mean, I've seen indie wrestling better than Raw, and that's not to bag on indie wrestling either. I'm just saying it's Monday Night Raw, not to a soapbox. Monday Night Raw should be the best pro wrestling show on TV, period. No one should be able to touch it. It should be a 4 or 5 rating every week. It should be, without question, the top dog, and it may never be again because it's diluted, it's convoluted, it's silly, it's hokey, it's ridiculous, it's awful. It's amazing what they've done to their flagship show. Shocking.
That was a good one. Yeah, Raw's just missing something. I can't tell you what it is. I just remember Raw used to be the show to watch, and I always felt like, even back in the Ruthless Aggression era, I always thought SmackDown was the better show, and SmackDown still blows them out of the water. I look more forward to watching SmackDown versus Raw even now.
I wanted to talk really quick about Toni Storm and how awesome she looks. I think she has besides Rhea Ripley, I think she has the coolest look on all the rosters. She stands out to me.
Oh yeah, Toni Storm's a star. I mean, even when we saw her in the first Mae Young Classic, we're like,
Yeah.
Different is good.
she is what Penelope Ford is to me on AEW. Like, you look at them and they scream megastar. That's what Taz said about Penelope Ford, and her and Tony Storm are definitely two women that come to mind for me in terms of that.
My dog has
Oh,
crashed the
that's
shot.
awesome.
You guys see that? He finally came in.
He's like, hey.
Yeah.
It's like he knows.
And you notice that he will lay as far to that side as he can, almost like he's trying to get past my shoulder, which is so funny. Like, got to be sure I'm in the shot. So he did it. Yeah, he's ready for his close up.
Real quick before we end here, let's finish up with just a little bit of talk of AEW real quick, and then we'll send everybody out on their way. I know they're tired of hearing us ramble on. I guess I don't know, but MJF, I love MJF. He's my favorite heel in the current on wrestling TV right now. I just love him because he makes you want to punch him in the face. You want to hate his guts, and I love that. I love that. So this past yeah, it's crazy because he's only what 2024 something like that. He's really young, and just think about where
Yeah.
he's going to be in the next few years. Oh, 25, still young.
The best heel in the business up until this point was Jay White in Japan, in New Japan. He's Jay. There's nothing redeeming about Jay White. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about your kids. Doesn't care about your grandmother. He doesn't care about anybody but himself in the Bullet Club. But as over the past year, MJF has made a very strong case, and I agree with you. I think he's the best. I mean, all you need to know about how committed he is to his character. This is it. Is
Mm-hmm.
on the Brody Lee tribute show, and Brody's son, -1, popped him in the head with the cane. On Twitter later that night, MJF said, F that kid. And he didn't say F, he spelled it out. And I thought, I love this guy so much because he's 100%. He is more committed. He is as committed to this character as Mark Calloway was to Undertaker. That's how I feel. He is that committed. I love that about him. It's great stuff.
I like the fact that he's got his own faction now. I knew he wouldn't last long in the inner circle. He was working his way from the inside out, and I'm just glad that it's finally coming to fruition now. And I can't argue with his stable mates that he chose, because FTR, Sean Spears, and then Sean Spears had totally Blanchard in his corner. Well, FTR did too. So I mean, I think that's some good stuff that's going to be happening, especially this coming Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think it's going to be good. I hear a lot of people complaining about AEW having too many factions. I'm like, you haven't been watching pro wrestling long, have you? Because factions been around for years. I don't see the problem with it. I was just talking about New Japan. You know how many clubs and stables there are in New Japan? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
that their entire promotion is based on that. Is based on the philosophy of these five guys are here in this clique. These guys are here. These guys are here. And it works and they make it work and it's fine. And like no one gets upset about it. But as soon as you do it in the States, it becomes, oh, it's too many, Tom. And it's okay, sure. I think it's fine. It, it the point will be moving forward. How do they run this and how do they handle it? And it, will it be okay or will it be a hit? Will it not? Because the inner circle together is very good. I'm glad they didn't interrupt that. The inner circle is still together. They need to stay together for as long as possible because they're great. So don't mess with that. But I'm glad that MJF's getting his own thing to do.
I'm glad it was sooner rather than later, because, like you said, he's committed to his character and everything, and it's I think it's MJF's time to really, really shine. They need to just let him. They just need to strap a rocket to him and let him go.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good, and I think they could have went a little bit longer with this, but I guess I'm just old school and just like really slow burn storylines. But I think they found a really good niche though, because a lot of people nowadays kind of want it to happen right this second. So I think they gave you a slow burn, but they also, cut it off at a really good time to so the newer, younger fans or just people who are new to pro wrestling or whatever, who aren't used to that. Um, I think everybody's happy. So I thought it was really good, and I've heard them being compared to the calling them the new Four
I've
Horsemen.
heard that too.
I mean, I think they should just do their own thing, but I think it's whatever they decide to do will still be okay.
Tom, I got to get your thoughts on Kenny Omega. He retained the championship at Revolution. Him and Mox had that barbed wire match. They always take it to the extreme, minus the botch at the end. But I got to get your thoughts on what Kenny Omega's doing. And
I've been saying for a while that I think all this is leading to a super show, and I've got it in my head it's going to be the middle of the year, and I don't know why. I just feel like June or July is what we're looking at, and I think it's going to be AEW, New Japan, Impact Wrestling all on the same card. And I don't know where it will be, and I don't know how many people can actually be there, but I think by June and July we're going to start seeing some good numbers back in attendance, which is a good thing. But we'll see what happens. I love Omega in this spot. I think if you're gonna have someone collecting titles, like he's collecting, like Thanos and collected Infinity Stones, I think it's perfect. Comparison. Um, I think he and Rich Swan are going to tear it up, and I love it for Rich because I think it's a great way for him to have a nice platform. Um, so I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great, and I enjoyed the exploding barbed wire death match. I love that they're trying to stand out, and be different. And as far as the end is concerned, Mox and Kingston fixed that thing with one promo on that couch. It was perfect. I mean, they fixed the whole thing. Kingston's explanation that he was flashing back and had an anxiety attack and he blacked out, perfect. And then Mox giving him the business over, well, you could have got there a little bit quicker. I was getting my butt kicked. That was awesome. And if, I said this on the main event the other day, if all we got out of this um, was these two guys working together, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good because they are awesome together. So that's a major plus coming out of that match. I love it.
I think too that when you think of John Moxley and Kenny Omega, you already know they take it to the limit. So I mean, you with them, you have to go big or go home because they're willing to do whatever it takes for that championship. So
Hmm.
you know, as far as that goes, you're just gonna have to one up from the last one. So and yeah, I'm just so proud of Kenny Omega and Mox. I love the promo at the end. You could tell he's so much happier. I love the passion. I mean, you could just feel the passion in his promo work. You could tell it comes from the heart. I think even if people didn't know him in WWE as Dean Ambrose, you can tell, you know, Mox is he's the real thing. Mox is all him, and that's what he is. He embodies that, and it just shows, and people love that.
If I know anybody right now that's not a pro wrestling fan, but if I wanted to show them something, I would show them a John Moxley promo, and I guarantee they'd want to see more because he is the best. He is a prime example. He's a prime example of how good this business can be on its best day. Because you turn that camera on and he's dialed in, and it's not like you said. It's real for him. It's not an act. He feels all this. Kingston cuts a promo and has tears in
Yeah,
his eyes for God's sake. Why? Because he feels it. It's important to him. It matters to him how he's received. It matters to him how he sounds. It matters to him how he looks. Mox is the same way. I mean, there's no bigger compliment coming from me than, okay, Tom, you got a non fan in front of you. What do you show him? Number one, I show him Dusty Rhodes. Number two, I show him John Moxley. It's the truth. And then I probably show him CM
right.
Punk. And to me, that's my top three in terms of I want you to feel this. I want you to know how good this can be and how fun this can
Right.
be, and watch this. That's what I would show them. And there's no higher praise coming from me. I promise you.
Well, on that note, my husband is not a wrestling fan, not really, and there are two shows that I am allowed to watch on the big screen TV when he is around, and that is AEW and NXT, and that's it. So if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what does. I'm not really a big deathmatch, hardcore, let me bloody you up and stuff. That's not really me. But I understand what they were doing, and I know the story that
Hmm.
they were trying to tell, so it was fine. But personally, on a just that just wasn't my flavor. So, but other than that, yeah, I really liked the promo at the end when Moxley just covered it up, and he sold it really well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Moxley's the real deal. And I was a big fan of him when
Yep.
he was Dean Ambrose talking to Mitch the Plant. So I think that just shows you how talented he is. Tom's like,
Mitch the plant. Oh,
No, you'll lose me with that plant. He made the best of what they he made the best of what they gave him, but
no.
man, they didn't give him much. It was whew, yikes. Uh, and you know what's funny is he has done so much good since he got out of that company that at this point, calling him
Yeah.
Ambrose feels weird, and it's like it's almost like it's two different people. It's and there look, there's a reason why when people get out of that company, they've got a story to tell, and they're not trying to burn Vince. And I don't think anybody's really burned him, even Punk. I don't think anybody really burned him. I think it was just, man, you got to hear this. I've been waiting 2 years to tell this. You got to hear this. Wait till you hear this. And John had the same story, and man, I he deserves all the
Mm-hmm.
awards, real or fictional, whatever, anything get his hands on. Because man, he's if the Oscars existed for the business, man, he would get you know uh, best actor for
absolutely.
sure in my book. He's fantastic.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question for you, Tom. Is a couple weeks ago was wrestling world was pretty much shocked when Paul White, formerly known as the Big Show, signed with AEW, and now Christian. Christian wasn't as much of a surprise to me, but the Paul White was for me. I was floored when I saw that. What did you think?
It's been a few years since I got to interview him, and he still had something in the tank, and he let it be known, supposedly behind the scenes, hey, I still got something to offer. I still got something I can give. He pitched the Shaq match multiple times. Shaq pitched it. No one wanted to do it. I'm like, what? So that always came as a surprise. Big Show has earned his spot, and he deserves to go out. You know, it's the same thing with Sting, man. He deserves to go out the way he wants to go out. And if these guys can have a second life in AEW, and it's not just about getting paid, it's also about, I got 20 years of experience and I see kids on this roster who could use
Yes.
some advice. I'd like to give them some advice. And I think if everybody's there for that reason as well, not just getting paid, I believe you're going to see that company, and it may not be next year, but 5 years from now, oh, man, think of all that wisdom in that locker room. If that wisdom's passed on and used in the right way, my goodness. I mean, you're looking at a company that's going to be even more of a I don't want to say threat, but even more of a presence than they are right now. So I love it.
I agree.
Yeah, it really shocked me because he's usually, when you look at the list of WWE lifers, his name
Hmm.
is usually would have been at the top of the list. So it was shocking to me that he left because he's always advocating for them and doing you know um, charity work for them and things like that, which he says he's not. That's not stopping. He's still going to be involved in all of the things that he was involved in. So that just goes to show that his heart is actually into what he was doing there too. And I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen Elevation, I think is what it's called. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen Monday's episode yet. But I'm I look forward to seeing how he does in commentary because that's a position no one's ever seen him in before. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what all goes on with him being there. I think it's a good addition.
Yeah, I completely agree.
He needs some work. I'll jump in. He needs a little bit of work. It wasn't bad, but he does need some work. I think he needs more time behind the mic. I think Shivani being next to him is great for him. He knew the names of all the finishes. I imagine he had it written down, which is fine. You got to find a way to connect. Um, he's very likable, and that's going to work in his favor. That's always going to help you on commentaries if you're likable, unless you're doing color. And if they hate you, that helps. So one way or another is good for the person on commentary. So I think he'll be fine. It will just take some time though.
With anything that you do for the first time.
Yeah. Speaking of first time, yeah, look, an hour rolls by fast.
Yeah, it does. Talking about wrestling. We're in Georgia. It's wrestling.
All right, well, if you made it this far, we thank you for tuning in and listening to us chat about the various topics of current wrestling today. I'd like to give a special thanks to Tom once more on the behalf of Tina and I. Tom, I mean, I can't thank you enough for what you've done for us. And, we just thought it would be no other way than to have you as our first guest. And we always appreciate your advice, your insight. I mean, I could go on all day.
It's a pleasure. Thanks again, guys, for having me. This is very fun, and I've often said, hopefully to both of you over the past few years, I just like to help give guidance where I'm asked to, and if I can help someone, if I can lend a hand up, I try to. Goodness knows, people have lent me a hand up more than one time. So if I can ever pay back for that, I try to. So as we talked about Charlotte before, you two are the ones that did the work. I may have cracked the door open for you, but you had to be the
Thank
one to
you.
walk through it. So continued success to both of you. Continued success, and I hope the podcast gets over like crazy, and I'm
Thank
sure it
you.
will. And I'd be glad
Oh,
to come back
definitely.
on anytime.
Absolutely. And
So
tell our viewers where can they find you at now?
well, Tom Clark's main event's been going for 8 years this year, and it goes live every Friday on Wrestling Rumors Facebook Live. We go live at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. It's available on all the platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google, Audible, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and YouTube, of course. And my second podcast is Tom Clark's 6M Podcast, which focuses on movies, music, Marvel magazines, miniseries, and more. So it's kind of an umbrella pod. It runs the gamut of everything from Captain America to Metallica to Michael Jordan. I mean everything in between. So I have fun on that show as well. That one is straight to audio recording, but it's available on all the other platforms as well. So yeah, I'm staying busy with the shows. It's fun stuff. Once you get started doing this, warning for both of you. Once you get started doing this, when I'm not podcasting, I swear I want to be podcasting. It's just so fun and addictive, and connecting with people. And when people on other continents are sending you messages telling you they
That's
like your
awesome.
show, that's the best stuff. That's the best stuff ever. So once you get started, it's hard to stop, I promise you. So
Well, Tina, I introduced the show. You want to close the show?
Absolutely. All right, guys. We appreciate you all coming on and listening to us talk about wrestling. I should say
Glenn?
because we are Georgia Peaches
Yes.
in the deep South. We are Peaches and Powerbombs, and we will be on every other week. So please tune in to our YouTube channel, and hopefully, we will bring an audio version to you soon. We will let you guys know when all of our platforms are up. Just keep tuning in to our Peaches and Powerbombs channel on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So follow us on all the social media platforms. Catch you guys later. Bye.